We will find them, arrest them, and prosecute them. They will be in jail for many years to come. And we will work with local police to identify violations of state and local laws to help ensure that offenders are caught and jailed for their crimes.
When federal reports confirmed that FBI and DEA teams had stormed a Chinese embassy-linked office in Chicago, resulting in 106 arrests and the seizure of thousands of cash, drugs, and encrypted diplomatic files, it became clear this was not a routine operation. This breach exposed one of the most complex foreign criminal networks ever discovered on American soil and revealed how deeply it has embedded itself in the country.
U.S. Marshal Service and Homeland Security will together be sending hundreds of skilled law enforcement officers to Chicago to help drive down violent crime.
The first clue emerged far from any embassy office. A traffic stop in Katy, Texas, exposed a shipment that should never have reached American streets. Officers found 40 kilograms of fentanyl sealed inside lavender massage oil bottles, each brick carrying purity levels between 92% and 98%. That amount alone could create 40 million lethal doses, enough to wipe out entire cities. The bricks carried the same lotus emblem previously linked to trafficking rings active in Vancouver, Los Angeles, and Seattle between 2018 and 2022. Analysts immediately flagged the symbol as a potential connection to a broader transnational network.
I am announcing that the Department of Justice will immediately surge federal law enforcement to the city of Chicago. The FBI, ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, and Homeland Security will together be sending hundreds of skilled law enforcement officers to Chicago.
Chemical testing confirmed the fentanyl powder originated from precursor compounds traced back to Fujian and Zhejiang shipping hubs. These two ports account for nearly 28% of the global fentanyl precursor supply, making them critical nodes for trafficking groups seeking clean and consistent chemical routes. Once investigators connected the purity levels with prior seizure patterns, the early signs pointed toward a coordinated pipeline feeding multiple states at once. The discovery was not isolated. It was the first thread of a much larger structure. The driver's confession matched Homeland Security reports dating back several years. Agents identified similarities with forced labor and organized prostitution operations uncovered in New York in 2019, Atlanta in 2021, and Las Vegas in 2022. Each of these earlier cases involved massage parlors functioning as fronts for trafficking and drugs distribution. The repetition of techniques, cover stories, and financial pathways suggested the same learning pattern behind them. By this point, federal units understood they were not confronting small, isolated cells. They were facing the starting point of a billion-dollar criminal network.
Every American, no matter their income, their race, or their zip code, should be able to walk their city streets free from violence and free from fear.
When the scale of the Red Lotus structure became visible, the numbers exceeded every initial estimate. The network operated in 47 locations across 11 states, including Texas, California, Nevada, Illinois, New York, and Florida. Each location acted as a node of a larger logistics chain. Financial tracing from IRS criminal investigators, FinCEN reports, and blockchain analysis uncovered a revenue stream of $1.92 billion, generated between 2023 and 2025. That profit is equivalent to the annual earnings of major American companies such as Yeti, Wingstop, Five Below, and Crocs combined. The scale alone illustrated that this was not a local operation. It was a multinational enterprise embedded inside everyday American communities. Inside these locations, agents found victim rotation logs detailing the daily workload of trafficked women. Each site averaged 27 to 34 women, many of whom were forced to serve 25 to 40 customers per day. This produced an estimated $7,800 to $14,500 daily per location, money that fed directly into the broader network. The numbers were consistent across multiple states. The rotation logs matched timestamps from surveillance footage, digital calendars, and messaging patterns extracted from seized devices. It was clear that the network had established a tightly controlled system designed to maximize profit with no regard for human suffering. The breakthrough came when cyber teams examined the 28 terabytes of data seized from the network's servers. The information detailed cross-border movement of more than 2,800 women over 3 years. These women were moved through a transnational pipeline routed through Vancouver, Mexico City, Toronto, and Tijuana before being distributed across American suburbs. The digital evidence showed flight manifests, hotel check-ins, encrypted passport scans, transportation receipts, and payment logs that connected every stage of their movement. This was a trafficking structure built on precision, discipline, and an understanding of how to navigate immigration blind spots. The human cost behind these numbers cannot be overstated, and federal agencies emphasize that every seized shipment protected countless American families from the violence and addiction associated with fentanyl distribution. Parallel to the human trafficking evidence, investigators uncovered extensive corruption that helped the network persist for years. Title III wiretaps captured a Customs and Border Protection supervisor at the Port of Long Beach, accepting $60,000 through a disguised Venmo transfer. In exchange, he approved 40-foot containers marked as massage equipment and surveillance devices. This individual was responsible for a major American entry point, and his actions allowed criminal goods to move into the country undetected. His betrayal directly jeopardized public safety and aided a network responsible for deadly drugs flowing into American neighborhoods. Corruption reached into the judicial system as well. A Harris County judge who repeatedly denied search warrants for Red Lotus-affiliated locations was recorded receiving services valued at $1,500 per visit. Surveillance logs confirmed 80 visits. His involvement blocked investigative progress and allowed the organization to expand operations unhindered. When corruption exists inside institutions meant to protect the public, criminal networks thrive. This judge's actions enabled an enterprise that trafficked women and funneled narcotics across state lines. The breach is extended to federal agencies. An ICE officer with 12 years of service leaked precise raid schedules, drone flight paths, and agent home addresses to the network. This information qualified as obstruction under 18 U.S.C. 1519 and bribery under 18 U.S.C. 201. The leak forced multiple raids to be reorganized and placed several agents and their families at risk. Officials emphasized that despite these threats, enforcement teams continued the mission to defend American communities and stop the flow of drugs responsible for thousands of overdose deaths each year. The financial camouflage protecting the Red Lotus empire was built using American corporate loopholes. The organization utilized shell companies in Nevada, Delaware, Wyoming, and South Dakota. More than 70% of anonymous shell corporations in the United States originate from these states. Investigators found forged signatures, nominee officers, and recycled identities used to obscure ownership. These structures filtered illicit revenue into seemingly harmless businesses, making it harder for local authorities to detect the criminal activity hiding behind them. As the early investigations unfolded, the evidence showed that the Red Lotus network posed a direct threat to national security. Federal agencies stressed that the crackdown was not only about seizing drugs, but about protecting American lives. Every kilogram of fentanyl removed from circulation prevented overdoses and protected families. Every victim rescued was a life pulled out of captivity. The storming of the Chinese embassy-linked office in Chicago became the turning point because it exposed how deeply embedded the operation had become. And with 106 arrests made, the United States sent an unmistakable message. Infiltration of American communities will be met with decisive action. The deeper investigators moved into the Red Lotus case, the more disturbing the human trafficking conditions became. Undercover HSI agents documented victims sleeping on stained yoga mats or thin, bare mattresses, often packed into small rooms with no ventilation. Most of the women worked 14 to 18-hour shifts, sometimes without breaks, meals, or access to basic hygiene. Federal reports stated that many had not seen natural sunlight for weeks or months. These were not workplaces. They were controlled prison-like environments disguised as legitimate businesses. If you want to see how far this network reached and what federal agents uncovered next, subscribe now because the most critical revelations are still ahead. Total surveillance was uncovered inside nearly every location. Infrared cameras were hidden in smoke detectors, shower heads, toilet tanks, and ceiling vents. This setup matched the methods documented in a major Bay Area trafficking bust in 2017, where similar devices were calibrated to record victims even in private spaces. Investigators noted that the technology used by Red Lotus was more advanced, cheaper, and harder to detect than what was found years earlier. The system allowed traffickers to monitor victims around the clock, and to immediately punish any attempt to rest, escape, or communicate with outsiders. Beyond physical confinement, psychological manipulation was a primary tool used to control victims. Investigators confirmed that Red Lotus traffickers kept personal information on the families of the women they exploited, including class schedules, sibling names, and teacher addresses. These tactics appear in 46% of Chinese trafficking cases in the United States between 2019 and 2024, according to DHS reports. Many victims were told that if they attempted to flee, harm would come to their relatives within hours. This level of intimidation prevented escape and ensured total compliance. One location featured a quota board that revealed the stark reality of daily life for these women. The board displayed a series of rules. 25 customers mean food, 30 customers mean a 3-minute call to home, 35 customers mean hot water, 40 customers mean not sold to warehouse. Federal agents described these quotas as a disturbing mix of forced labor and psychological torture. It showed that the victims' basic needs were conditional and entirely dependent on extreme levels of exploitation. The discovery of these rules generated outrage among task force members, especially since such coercion had long-term mental and physical consequences. Medical assessments conducted after the raids confirmed severe health issues among the rescued women. Many had stress fractures from standing for extended hours. Others showed signs of malnutrition and dehydration. Several exhibited untreated STDs and infections that had gone unaddressed for months. DHS officials stated that the trauma displayed by these victims mirrored conditions documented across 18 previous forced labor cases. These findings reinforce the urgency of dismantling the network and preventing it from reestablishing itself in new locations. While investigators were uncovering the human side of the operation, financial analysts were mapping the structure that kept the network alive. Red Lotus laundered its proceeds through 183 nail salons, 67 boba tea shops, 41 vape stores, 19 dry cleaners, 11 acupuncture clinics, and 8 restaurants. These businesses generated legitimate revenue, allowing criminal funds to be mixed with clean income. Each establishment functioned as a financial shield, making it difficult for local law enforcement to detect irregular activities. The spread across multiple states also meant no single agency had a complete view of the overall operation. FinCEN traced 163 bank accounts connected to the network. Notably, transaction spikes occurred during Chinese holidays and international shipping cycles, a pattern typical of transnational laundering groups. These timing markers helped analysts track cash flow across continents. Treasury officials later froze $687 million in a single day, marking the largest one-day financial seizure in American anti-trafficking history. The freeze effectively shut down the organization's liquidity and prevented the movement of funds into offshore accounts. Cryptocurrency played a significant role in Red Lotus's financial system. At least 72 crypto wallets were identified, with transactions routed through exchanges in Singapore, Hong Kong, and the British Virgin Islands. These locations are known hotspots for drugs-linked crypto activity. The digital trail revealed attempts to convert large quantities of drug profits into untraceable assets. Agents emphasized that this practice is becoming more common among international criminal groups seeking to bypass traditional financial regulations. The supply chain behind the drugs involved in the operation was equally complex. Chemical precursor shipments originated from ports responsible for 35% of global fentanyl precursor trade, including Ningbo Zhoushan and Fuzhou. These ports have been historically difficult to regulate due to the volume of trade and the ability of traffickers to disguise chemical shipments as industrial materials. The consistency and precursor purity demonstrated that Red Lotus had access to high-level logistical support and international partnerships designed to keep production uninterrupted. The final phase of the investigation involved coordinated enforcement action across multiple states. More than 850 federal operators from the FBI, ICE, HSI, DEA FAST, ATF, U.S. Marshals, and various state SWAT teams executed 47 simultaneous raids. This operation was the largest coordinated human trafficking takedown in American history. The scale reflected the severity of the threat and the need to protect American communities from both narcotics and organized foreign infiltration. During the raids, 31 victims were rescued from the cold storage facility alone, and 19 more from Sugar Land, with dozens located in secondary sites. In total, 91 women were freed. These rescues were seen as a direct victory for American families, as each location dismantled prevented further exploitation and kept dangerous narcotics off the streets. Officials emphasized that every kilogram seized represented lives saved and overdoses prevented across the country. Gunfights erupted at several of the locations. Engagements lasted 5 to 8 minutes, with traffickers using Type 97 rifles, AK drum magazines, and ceramic plates. Despite the heavy weaponry, there were 0 American casualties, a testament to the discipline and training of the responding units. Federal teams carried out each breach with precision, moving victims to safety while neutralizing threats. These actions demonstrated the strength and readiness of American law enforcement when confronting foreign-backed criminal groups. The digital evidence recovered during the raids was extensive. Analysts extracted 28 terabytes of data, revealing that the organization had plans to expand into Seattle, Chicago, Phoenix, Atlanta, Denver, Miami, and Charlotte. The expansion strategy confirmed that Red Lotus was building a decentralized structure capable of rapidly regenerating. This ability to rebuild made the network one of the most resilient trafficking enterprises ever detected inside the United States. One final discovery provided a chilling message. Written across a 30-foot section of concrete at one location were the words, "Lotus blooms again in spring." Federal officials interpreted the message as a warning that the organization intended to rebuild within 8 to 12 weeks, consistent with DHS estimates of foreign trafficking regeneration cycles. This underscored the importance of continued vigilance, strong border enforcement, and ongoing collaboration between federal agencies to protect American citizens and prevent criminal infiltration.